Blind football.
Imagine waking up and this is what you see. The vision is blurred or even black, and you cannot even tell whether it's sunny or is it raining. Well, these are only some of the struggles visually impaired and blind people encounter every day. There is a difference between blindness and visual impairment. Blind people are unable to see anything, including light. Partially blind people, on the other hand, have a limited vision, as the video on the beginning showed. There is also a legal blindness, or in the other words, people with highly compromised vision. The World Health Organization estimated in 2010 that there are 280 million people who have a vision impairment, of which 39 million people are blind. However, 1 billion people have a vision impairment that could have been prevented or has yet to be addressed. An individual can be born with visual impairment or blindness, or can develop it throughout their life. As such, visual impairments can be caused by aging, genetics, disease like diabetes or glaucoma, accidents, or lifestyle. Even though the numbers are decreasing in the recent years, scientists predict that the numbers will again go up by 2050 as the life expectancy is increasing. Because of these struggles, some blind people might lose a sense of belonging. This is the reason why blind football exists. It is giving people with a vision impairment a chance to be a part of the group and to be physically active.
The beginnings of blind football can be tracked to 1920s in Spain. Spain is considered the pioneer of blind football. Brazil, on the other hand, started developing football 5 versus 5 in the 1960s and held the first tournament in 1974. After the sport joined the International Blind Sports Federation in 1996, the first international competitions were held. The first European Championship was held in 1996, but another championship was hosted just a year later in 1997 with new and upgraded rules. Blind football introduction as a sport to the Paralympic Games happened at Athens 2004, and that was undoubtedly the most significant moment in the history of football five-a-side. There are three categories how these blind athletes get divided to equalize the play. B1, totally or almost totally blind athletes. B2, more partially blind athletes. And B3, less partially blind athletes. Blind football, or football five-a-side, is an adaptation of football for athletes with visual impairments. The sport is governed by International Blind Sports Federation and is played with modified FIFA rules.
So let's get on with the rules of the sport. The rules of blind football are very close to the ones established by FIFA for five-a-side football and for futsal. However, of course, because the players are with problems and they cannot see, there are a few modifications made to the sport. The number of players is still the same as for futsal. There are four outfield players wearing eye patches because there are different levels of blindness, and one goalkeeper which is fully sighted. The ball they are playing with is full of metal and it makes different noises every time it moves or touches the floor from the top. If it's a long ball, when it gets to the floor, it makes noises. Each team has three coaches or guides who are commanding different areas of the pitch. They are, of course, fully sighted and they shout at the players all the time what to do, where to go, and where to watch out for opposition players, for example. The length of one match is 50 minutes, which is split into two halves of 25 minutes. If the game goes to draw, as in regular football, there are penalty kicks. The goalkeepers, even though they are fully sighted, they are not allowed to step outside of their small boxes. If they step beyond their small boxes, there's a penalty kick given. They are also not allowed to throw the ball beyond the center of the pitch. Free kicks are very frequent in this sport because the players can't see. So this is why there is a rule. If a team makes more than 3 fouls in one half, there's a second penalty kick from the 8th meter. The size of the pitch is standard futsal size, 40 meters long and 20 meters wide. Instead of touchlines, there are walls, and the walls are high from 1 to 1.2 meters. So if the ball touches the wall, it goes back to play. It doesn't go out of play. The goals are 3 meters high and 2 meters wide. So the only way the ball can get out of play is through the goal. It's either if the team scores a goal or there's corner or a goal kick.
Current situation and the competition in the world around blind football. In terms of Olympic Games, Brazil has dominated the games. Brazil sealed the first gold following a 3-2 win over Argentina in a penalty shootout after a 0-0 draw. They won gold at the Beijing 2008 Games, courtesy of a 2-1 win over host China. While at London 2012 Games, they retained their title for a third time with a comfortable 2-0 win over France. Rio Olympic Games was no exception and Brazil was crowned the winners once again. Blind football has become one of the biggest sports of the Paralympic Games program. Following its debut in Athens, as mentioned before, this was recognized at London 2012 Paralympic Games when the number of teams taking part was increased from 6 to 8. Blind football was one of the most popular sports at 2016 Paralympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, where host Brazil won gold for the fourth time running, as mentioned before. Of course, blind football enjoys support from UEFA for its development activities in Europe. There have been multiple World Championships in B1 and B2 groups, 11 to be precise, in a 10-year span, which is a really high number. In terms of the B1 football, the number of teams have grown every championship, from 8 in 2006 to 16 countries competing just 2 years ago in Madrid, Spain, where again Brazil was crowned the champions. And just 3 years ago, first women's blind football tournament was hosted with 4 countries competing for the title and Japan being the first champions. The person in the video right now, if you can recognize by the beautiful hair, it's David Beckham, worldwide public figure and ex-professional football player. He's been put to the task of just dribbling the ball back and forth and just running with a blindfold on, and you can see he's struggling. So we figured, let's see how hard can that be.
Alright, now let's try blind football ourselves. Grab a towel and a ball and join us. Alright. Challenge 1. Play the football between your feet. can both agree that blind football is much harder than you think. Thank you for watching.